Hey guys, thanks for choosing this podcast. We're your hosts, Em and Kay. Please come join us to chat about anything related to healing and so much more. Well, this is episode 2. Thanks for listening to our episode 1. We are just so grateful that you guys are joining us today. Kay, how are you doing?
I am doing pretty okay, I would say. It is the same day, Thursday.
Don't tell people that we're spilling out content the same day. No, just kidding. No, actually, it's true.
Yes, we are recording 2 episodes in 1 day. We're keeping it real, and we're doing
And
that
efficient.
efficient for sure. Yeah. Yeah, we're just doing that because we're honestly we're re-recording, okay? We had 2 episodes. The audio was horrible, so here we are. But you still doing good from a few minutes ago?
Yes, I still stand with I'm okay. I'm pretty content. I'm happy at the moment. So I hope the same goes for you, right?
Yeah, definitely still the same. And we were actually talking about because we recorded the prior episode 4 times in a row. And then at the 4th time, we just kind of had to remind ourselves that we don't have to be perfect. What we say, how we sound. Literally, there is no rule out there that says you have to be perfect at anything. So that is, and that's actually a part of healing, like feeling at times that you've practiced like for example, let's say if emotional regulation is an issue for
Hmm.
you. Personally, it is something that I'm working on. It is a definite skill that is needed that sadly I wasn't not to be laughing. I think
Well, that's a
try-
coping mechanism right there. So,
there you go. We're just calling everything out right now. That is very true because it is kind of uncomfortable to talk about, not being the best at emotionally regulating oneself.
yeah. Well, I mean, especially like calling out those attributes that maybe you weren't taught when you were a child is also it's an uncomfortable topic because one, it's really calling out your parents that you didn't, that they didn't teach you certain things, but you don't want to do that as well. So, definitely understand the giggle behind that cuz it's relatable.
Yeah, and it is definitely a tough conversation. It reeling it back to the topic of like perfectionism. So say you are working on that and then you have this big blowout because you were triggered for whatever reason. And then you're like you're feeling like you're going back to square -1 because you thought, oh, I know how to maybe self-soothe so that I don't blow up, but then you
Mhm.
do. And I feel like healing is the most imperfect process in life.
Mhm.
There's gonna be times where you take 10 steps forward and you're gonna take 11 steps back. And I think you have mentioned that you've had situations like that as well, where you were questioning, like, am I really healing, or like, why did I go back to this pattern or action?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what you said, it's true. And like for me, well, to like backtrack, I have only started this healing, quote unquote, healing process, like choosing to do this healing process within like what, the last year, I think. And it's true when you literally put yourself, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna actually start putting in the work. You notice that healing isn't just like a linear thing. Like you can't just like read a book and be like, "Oh, I'm going to use this in my life. I am healed." No, it's going to be like you were saying, like you're taking like it seems like you're going full throttle, you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, but then like a situation happens where you sort of like revert back to your, I don't want to call it toxic self, but like the person that you don't like to be. And that's where you're like, oh my gosh, all the things that I put in work towards did not work. But that's not true, right?
Yeah, no.
It just shows that like you're actually healing because you're catching that instance. You're aware, like you're self-aware. And going back to like what we had mentioned before, that's sort of the thing that happened to us when we were recording the previous times. Like we were putting so much pressure on ourselves to record the perfect episode, that we weren't being authentic. All these like negative things that we wanted to like overcome. but in reality we weren't being compassionate with ourselves. Would you say, Kay?
Yeah, I don't think we were. I think we were being super judgmental on, like you said, producing this perfect first episode, but that's not life. And I think that we are becoming, as like podcast hosts, more comfortable with putting imperfect content out there.
Yeah.
And it's a little harder because we are going to be talking about ourselves. Like, we're not talking about movies or shows which are external, and I feel like it's easier to do that.
Mhm.
But hey, we can do that too because I do shows and movies. But
Yeah. And plus it's just a conversation between us, so
right. And so yeah, I mean, I guess the gist of what we're trying to say is that if you have been working on fixing anything or improving, or I don't know, sometimes I want to backtrack on using those words because fixing kind of insinuates that there's something wrong with you.
Mhm.
And I don't think that there is anything wrong with us, like your essence, right? As a person, it's just skills that you have to learn to make your life better.
Mhm.
And like for me, when I get really overwhelmed, I have had to learn how to handle that overwhelm, all that energy. Like it's really just excess energy running through the body,
Yeah.
excess thoughts that don't need to, that aren't really help me.
Mhm.
So, like for me personally, when I feel that I've learned that I need to move, like I can't just stay on like sitting or on my phone or on the couch. I need to get up and I need to move, or maybe even distract myself by talking to someone. It kind of just depends, but
And that's why we chose to talk about that for our first episode, to embrace sort of like the mindset that it's okay to be imperfect or to do things imperfectly because, we're just human beings and no human being is perfect.
yeah. And we're never going to achieve that level. So let's all just be real and stop trying.
Let's
Just
just
not gonna,
forget it and just let's stop trying.
yeah. Perfection or perfect should just be removed from the dictionary, to be honest. Or at least the new definition should just be impossible.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, there's certain days when that feeling of like you have to do everything perfect is harder than others, don't you think?
Yeah. I have a question for you though, Em.
Yeah.
When was the last time that you felt, well, that you felt that it was hard for you to, or I guess that you were wanting to be perfect, or maybe when was the last time you felt like an imperfect human being? Like that feeling of there's something wrong with me.
Well, I think it's always like in the back of my mind because of like career wise. Like for example, my siblings, I mean, it's also completely different because they're male and I'm female. So we live in different worlds, sadly. So my parents, or at least I think that my parents have bigger expectations, for us to be like we have to be at a certain level and me not being there or at least
And yeah, and I think that that's another factor. Like we carry these narratives in our minds of how others feel, how others perceive us, and that may not be the truth, right?
yeah.
Like, unless we have asked them directly and said, "Do you actually think this of me?"
Mhm.
We are just guessing. And yes, I mean, sometimes we're right. You can tell by the way people treat you and so forth. But we can also choose, I think, to live in a world where we perceive that other people perceive us in a positive light. Unless they're like, obviously, if they're being cruel, then maybe reconsider the type of relationship you have with those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, that's true.
But much easier said than done.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Same question.
The last time I felt imperfect?
Mhm.
Well, earlier today, I messed up at work,
Mhm.
and it was brought to my attention. And it was something it was good, I would say a pretty big error.
Mhm.
And like immediately I felt like, oh my God, how could I make this mistake? Am I gonna get fired? Why wouldn't I pay attention to this?
Uh-huh.
All these negative feelings, and like it went like that for hours, and maybe that's why today I'm a little off because that was that was a little bit tiring mentally.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of waiting to hear what like the next steps would be because of the mistake that I made.
Mhm.
But luckily, I didn't hear anything too drastic that was gonna happen because of the error.
Mhm.
Um, but to me, like, what work, I always feel like I have to be perfect at work.
Yeah.
And when I don't when I make even I've made, like, lesser errors than that, right? It's not a common thing for me because I feel like at work, I'm super vigilant about the things that I do.
Mhm.
I don't know, because I feel like I just have to be a good worker, and that's why we're doing this podcast because I don't wanna be a worker bee anymore.
Laying it out there.
And I mean, and I'm hoping, that this is very fruitful, but at the least I'm challenging myself and I know you are too.
Yes.
And I guess to kind of, I don't know, I guess when I feel like I'm imperfect or not imperfect, but like the work mistake, imperfect, I literally just have to talk to myself and say, okay, even if I messed up, what is the
Mhm.
worst possible scenario?
Yeah.
And then I had to tell myself, okay, well, I could get fired. That would be the absolute worst possible scenario. I get fired.
Mhm.
And then I just thought, then I go all in on this podcast. I have more time for the podcast.
Well, I mean, like you were saying before, like these narratives, these stories, these infinite futures that we like create in our minds is already creating that anxiety, that unnecessary anxiety. And like I used to do that all the time. Like even when I'd mess up and like at school, work and all that stuff, like I'd be like have the worst anxiety and it would manifest like physically in my body. And because I didn't have the tools to process that, like or to be able to mitigate or make it flow out, I wouldn't be able to like overcome it. So now at least I can like pinpoint, oh, my mind's doing this weird thing again. Let's go through the script of like, body, I allow you to tell me this information, but I think I can handle it. And whatever you're telling me is not true. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's going to happen or whatever.
Okay, so that's the kind of dialogue that you have with yourself.
Yeah.
I really like that. Also, that you tell your body, like, I'm allowing you to feel
Hmm.
whatever it is, but let's not freaking take it too far.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did take like today, I think for at least like 2 hours, I was in a very like my body felt very tight, and I was like, oh God, what's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
like the anxiety was right there.
Yeah. And I mean, I still have a job, thankfully. So everything's fine. So it's a small reminder of what our minds are telling us is a possibility, especially if you tend to catastrophize like I do.
Mhm.
Just stop yourself and challenge the thought. You can use M's method and tell your body,
I mean,
I,
it's what has helped so far. I'm not saying that like it's the save all, but like
yeah,
it does help like if you verbalize it in your mind or even speak it in words. I am the firm believer that words like carry meaning, magic, whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely been like a game changer for me.
I totally agree. I think words are so powerful. And I might steal that from you actually, because I like the wording of body, I allow you to feel this, but
Do
I'm
it,
not.
do it. I swear by it, or not that I swear by it, but like I mentioned before, since being like really into this healing journey, I felt like that has been one of the big wins within the healing journey, or at least like what has helped. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you discovered a tool that works
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, it's true that not every tool or not, everybody's gonna have a toolkit of different
Hmm.
tools that they can use, and it's not gonna look the same as everybody else's. But I do think that it's very important to experiment with what works for you
Yeah.
and what doesn't, and not. I know it's hard to like get discouraged when you try a method that somebody has says this has done wonders for me, and then you try it and you're like, I am still
Yeah.
tweaking out in the corner. Like, it's not doing anything
You
for me.
lied to me. How dare you? No,
Yeah.
but it's true. Like everyone's toolkit, like you said, is going to be different. Like I might have hammers, you might have pliers.
Freya.
I don't know. But yes. And like I'm so happy that we're talking about this cuz like again, it goes back to like embracing the imperfectness or being okay with being imperfect because I feel like that has been such like a weight in my long life. Just kidding. No, but it's because like I have to be perfect for everything, or I used to always strive to be perfect for everything because if not, it wasn't enough. like it wasn't like I wasn't enough or anything. And it's very refreshing to be able to like embrace the flaws and just like,
Be
you know what I
free.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not being able to like verbally express it. Like right now I'm heavily cringing inside that I'm not able to like finish sentences and stuff. But, I'm embracing it.
Yeah, and I think you're expressing it pretty well. I mean, I totally understand you, and I think it's interesting that you said you felt like you needed to be perfect with for everything. I have a different experience where for me it wasn't everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just with like being the perfect daughter and being the
Mm-hmm.
perfect worker bee.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't care about school if I didn't get straight A's. As long as I passed those classes, I was fine with that.
Yeah.
And I would say, yeah, so for me, it wasn't for everything. It was just those two items. I don't even think, I'm trying to think if I felt that way about friendships. And I don't think I did because I didn't feel like I'm thinking about growing up. I didn't feel like the pressure from my friends to be a
Mm-hmm.
perfect friend. Well, and then in high school, well, that's a whole nother story. But I'm thinking like way in the younger years.
Uh-huh.
So it's just interesting what some of us feel like why do we have to be a perfect person in this area of our lives, and I think it's really interesting to take some time to reflect on why did I feel like I have to be a perfect
Perfect
employee
person.
and perfect
Exactly.
daughter, track that all to childhood.
Which is another episode because it's going to be so loaded. But back to like tracking back of why, I would like personally, I would want to feel perfect all the time. I think it's more around the lines of the fear of being commented on or judged or being perceived, I guess. I don't know. I think it all stemmed from that.
From the fear of being perceived
Yeah.
in a negative manner, of
Yeah.
course.
Which is so insane because, like, if you think about it, no one gives a fuck. Like, pardon
No,
my English. No one gives a fuck of, like, how I look or what I say about. Like, everyone is just as consumed into their lives as we are. And
yeah.
that's, like, a good reminder. I don't know. What were you going to say?
No, that is very, very true. I remember like in my teen years or elementary teen years when I would used to tell my sister because I hated walking through like the cafeteria or I hated walking in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And she would constantly tell me that to get over myself, that the world revolve around me and nobody's fucking looking at me.
My goodness.
And that just grounded me so fast. And I was like, you're right. Like, who am
Yeah.
I?
Well, I mean, I do gotta say, in your defense and in my defense as well, and for the listeners, I don't know if you guys perceive it, but we are very shy in nature, okay? But we aren't quiet like you mentioned before. Or you haven't mentioned, you mentioned it in one of our previous attempts of
Yeah,
recording.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's just a little anecdote for people to know about us. So this
Yeah,
is even triple harder.
definitely. And I mean, if you have a fear of being seen, we're jumping from topic to topic, but that's
Yeah.
okay. We're just chatting here, and that's how our conversations go.
Yeah.
It is very difficult, and I feel like, even if that's one of your fears and somebody's telling you nobody's fucking looking at you, that's very harsh. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's hurtful because it did kind of hurt because I mean, it's a reality check of, well, people are doing their thing in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And people are really not that obsessed with what you're doing at
Yeah.
all. If you're walking down the hallway, you're literally just walking down the hallway, okay?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But you are still very special people, okay? Everybody's special. It's just in little things like that. It's not that big as we make it out to seem in that moment. That's
Yeah.
that's all that my sister was trying to say in a very harsh, direct way.
Well, one, because, kids, formative years, some harsh words can be very, they can stick with the person, right? But also like, she's also true, like it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't. And I think that was the point. But, back in my younger years, I'm like, so you're saying I'm not special? Like in my head, right? I would be like, okay, you're right out loud. But in my head, I'd be like, oh my God, nobody's looking at me. I'm invincible. But then
Yeah.
isn't that what I want? Because I said I don't want to be seen. So it's very contradicting.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But see, we're putting ourselves out here to be heard.
Well, I think it's also like being able to process all of those emotions, those feelings. Obviously, we're not going to just all feel perfect all the time or good or bad. So it's just allowing ourselves to, feel all those things, process them, and then letting them go.
Exactly. That's the point of processing, is to allow your feelings, figure out whatever takeaways, and yeah, let them pass through you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I think we did great, don't you think?
yeah. Yeah. I think this was a good second episode for the most part, and I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Yes, I think so. So, yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope you guys didn't get bored with our little stories, but I think you didn't because you're listening to us right now.
Yeah, thank you definitely for listening, and we'll post again soon. Hopefully everybody has a great rest of their week. Remember to have grace with yourself. Remember, it's okay to not be perfect. Just keep pushing through the challenges and take a break every once in a while. It's okay. This isn't a race.
Yeah, embrace all of yourself. Alrighty, bye guys.